We're going to talk about tourism investment in Africa post-2010, about job creation, about infrastructure attraction, and about income generation. That is a theme which should run through this conference. It's a time of intense uncertainty. You only have to turn the television screens on to know that a lot of the assumptions that have been there in all of the projections for the climb out of recession are being challenged by events that are happening in North Africa and the Middle East. And nobody quite knows where this is going to take us. But it's also, we know that this is going to find a new equilibrium in time. And then we are going to have to look back at a new framework. And it's a framework, a global framework, in which everybody is talking about Africa. Africa, with all its challenges, and I'm not going to talk about the challenges because you know them, you live them, it has a key place in the new global order which is emerging. As we move the economic center to the east, the countries of the east are beginning to look to Africa. Look at the investment which is coming from China. Look at the interest which is coming from India. And these are the countries with the great new potential tourism markets of the future. Look at the potential for new funding which is going to come to Africa as a result of international decisions on poverty alleviation, on climate change, on aid for trade. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars every year, which is going to be coming to the African continent. And the question is, how can we make sure that lots of it is going to come towards tourism? This is not a one-year development. This is a 40-year development as the world has to shift to a new green economy. And we are looking at an Africa which is beginning to develop a very powerful market of its own. Emerging middle classes in all African countries, and the first thing that they want is they want to travel, and they want to travel around Africa. And the challenge is to put in place the infrastructure and the transportation systems that will allow them to do so. And we are able to integrate this continent through tourism. So that's the first issue. The second issue we're here, and I'm very pleased, is we're going to put, hopefully, Mpumalanga on the international tourism map. You're already on the international tourism map because of Kruger. Everybody knows Kruger. They don't necessarily know what the province has to offer. And that's why we're here to talk about all of your potential tourism opportunities and why investors are here to look at those opportunities. And of course, that is a translation into jobs and into income. And the last point I want to make, and I'm passionate about this, I won't step up for the rest of my life and address a meeting without talking about green growth. If we're looking at investment for the future, we have to look at a future travel and tourism industry which, like the rest of our society, has to adapt massively over the next 4 decades so that we keep the temperature at no higher than 2 degrees more Celsius so that our grandchildren do not fry. Basically, at the global level, leaders are deciding in every country of the world that we are going to move into an era where we decouple dependence on carbon fuel from growth. And Africa has that huge opportunity simply because you haven't had the bad development of the industrialized world. So when we talk about investment and when we talk about looking at new facilities, it's not traditional hotels, traditional transport, traditional theme parks. We have to think about creating new facilities which will be geared to using solar power, which Africa has in abundance, and not relying on fossil fuels. I know that's not the issue for tomorrow, and I know your investment discussions are about tomorrow. But if you plan for the longer term, there will be huge amounts of money that will become available that will allow you to make that adjustment. And I kind of see this like a two-dimensional or three-dimensional chess game. You need the investment now, and you have to focus on that. But make sure that that investment and those facilities have the necessary components that when people come along with trillions of dollars for climate change adaptation, your investments are right at the top of the heap.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.